Saturday, May 16th saw 4 different NFL players taken into custody. We're talking 4 different players, 3 different incidents across 3 different states. I don't know if this is the most savage Saturday or just the saddest Saturday, but literally every one of the cases involved a firearm, all to different capacities though. In today's video, I want to take a look at each of the situations, and remember, all these players are innocent until proven guilty. We definitely don't have all the facts yet, and while I do think it's fair to draw conclusions based on the information we do have, I wouldn't just draw a line in the sand and be extremely rigid, because as new information comes out, you might feel differently and I might feel differently about these stories. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the video. Cue the Wayne. Okay, let's start out with the shortest and most straight to the point arrest of this entire thing. Buffalo Bills defensive lineman Ed Oliver. This one seems pretty simple and straight to the point, and once I delve into those other ones just a little bit, you'll see what I'm talking about. So in this one, Ed Oliver was driving a white Ford Super Duty pickup truck, pulling a trailer with a quote-unquote dune buggy on the back of it. This was in the Houston, Texas area, and somebody saw him driving erratically and called the police. The person who reported it said the driver of the truck was failing to maintain a lane and driving dangerously in a 45-mile-per-hour construction zone. They described the vehicle, and eventually the police called up to Ed Oliver, pulled them over. Now, one of the oddest things about this story is that the cops say that Ed had a beer can that he was holding between his legs. You know what I'm saying? Like something that you seen your uncle do back in the day. But if he was still holding a beer can between his legs once he got pulled over, I just find that to be very, very weird. You know what I'm saying? That's probably the weirdest thing about this. So anyway, they pulled him over and determined that he was impaired, but perhaps by something besides alcohol. Still, they didn't find any drugs in the car, but did find a handgun. Again, it's a pretty normal thing to keep a gun in your car in Texas, and while you can legally carry it, the caveat is you can't carry it while committing another crime. So like, once you commit another crime, your legal firearm becomes illegal. So this is gonna be a misdemeanor, and it's basically, once it all boils down, just a DUI. Not a huge deal, especially once we get into these other 2 stories. Now, the most highly publicized case of all 3 of these is DeAndre Baker and Quentin Dunbar. I'm pretty sure you've heard something about this story, unless your internet completely went out over the past week. There's a lot of little details in this thing, but I'm gonna attempt to give you the short version. Here's basically what happened. Allegedly, DeAndre Baker and Quentin Dunbar were at a house party on Wednesday. The initial police reports told the story of Baker and Dunbar pulling up to the party and knowingly committing armed robbery. Just right out the gate, very odd. Football players get arrested from time to time, but armed robbery is usually not the type of crime that a pro football player is going to be committing. You had that one OJ situation, and I can't think of a whole lot of other times where something like this happened. It was reported that DeAndre, Quentin, and one other guy took money and watches from the alleged victims with force, as DeAndre was said to have had a semi-automatic firearm. The original report goes on to say that upon the police officer's arrival, he met with 4 victims and 1 witness. Now, the witness said he was outside cooking when he looked inside and saw DeAndre Baker robbing cats at gunpoint and giving out orders. He said DeAndre was being assisted by Quentin Dunbar and another guy. Apparently, they were taking money and jewelry from the other people at the party. As if that's not crazy enough, he said that another guy who had just gotten there walks in the door, and immediately DeAndre Baker gives an order to shoot that guy. Fortunately, either that order was never given or it was not followed, as no shots were fired. Thank goodness. Then he said Dunbar, Baker, and the other guy fled the party, hopped in their cars, a BMW, a Lambo, and a Benz, and then dipped out. He even made the point that they had parked their cars pointing out so that they could make a speedy getaway. Now, that last part, I mean, I've been to my share of cookouts, and the dudes in the nice cars always back in. Like, it's just, it don't matter if it's more convenient, less convenient, they backing in. It's like an unwritten rule. So according to the police report, here's everything they took: a little over $12,000 in cash, a Rolex valued at $18,000, another expensive watch valued at $25,000, an Audemars watch valued at $17,000, and a fake Richard Mille watch valued at about 600 bones. So a little over $70,000 worth of stuff to split 3 ways between 2 millionaires and another guy. Mathematically, it doesn't make any sense. So if this did actually happen, it would have had to have been personal, right? Now, bro, I done told a lot of wild stories on this channel. It's kind of what we do here, but this, when I heard this, I was just like, bro, there's gotta be so much more to this story. Like so much more, to the point I don't even want to touch this at least for a few days. With that said, we know for a fact it's a lot more to this story than what we've been hearing. And today, new reports came out saying this: all the victims and witnesses involved in this have completely changed their stories. According to reports, every victim and every witness has basically recanted their entire original statement only 36 hours after making the statements. At this point, none of the witnesses are cooperating with police, so the alleged victims basically went from saying DeAndre Baker pulled out a gun and told Dunbar and another guy that was with them to rob everybody to this. This is the new statement. At some point, there was an argument that arose between some of the parties that were playing the dice game. I was never in fear for my life in any situation that happened that day, and DeAndre Baker did not take any property from me and did not point a gun at anyone. So basically a complete 180. Weird situation. I'm not sure if the police department somehow pressured witnesses into giving these statements, or if they doctored these statements in any way. The victim/witnesses could have been paid off, but we have no proof. We cannot prove it. That is not fact. That is speculation. Let me be clear. But it just makes sense. Like, if they go through with this thing, the best they stand to get is their belongings back and maybe some pain and suffering money. But that's after hella time in court and all these legal fees and just, you know, a whole bunch of drama that people generally don't want to go through. Especially if I'm dude who had the fake watch. I don't even want that back. Keep that. If I'm him, I'd much rather just take some hush money. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe that whole pretty detailed story was bogus from jump and they lost their nerve and went ahead and told the truth. Who honestly really knows? But whatever happened, that original story no longer seems to be the one that they're saying is true. So with that said, there is a possibility that this whole thing just goes away. So the question that the court is going to have to determine is, were the victims and witnesses lying originally, or are they lying now? Which one is it? Either way, it bodes well for Dunbar and Baker, because pretty much the whole case, this whole case is built on the victims and the witnesses' testimonies. You see what I'm saying? So if they've completely changed their stories and are no longer cooperating with the police, you know, I don't think this is gonna go very far, so we'll have to see what happens. With that said, I'm still expecting 1 or 2 other big turns in this thing. Like, I know it's something else that's gonna happen probably very soon. DeAndre and Quentin are both out on bond right now. Neither has been released or punished by the NFL as of yet. I'm sure they're gonna wait and see kind of how things play out with the justice system first. And so that just kind of is what it is. Hit me in the comment section. Let me know, what do you think happened? You think it happened the way it was reported initially? You think it happened the way that it's being reported now? Or you think it's somewhere in the middle? Probably somewhere in the middle. That's how most things are. I'll probably follow this up next week after more information has come out. Now, there was one more player taken into custody on Saturday, and even though the Dunbar and Baker situation just seems so damn crazy, this was potentially the worst one out of all 3 of them. According to reports, early Saturday morning, shots were fired in a Douglas County, Colorado apartment. A witness heard arguing and saw one person leave with minor non-gunshot injury, but at least one gunshot did go off. Cody Latimer is thought to be the person who shot the gun and was arrested and booked on felony charges of assault in the second degree, menacing and illegal discharge of a firearm, and misdemeanor charges of prohibited use of a weapon and reckless endangerment. Now, when I first heard this situation, I didn't think a ton of it, but then the lawyer made a statement saying this: there's an entire backstory to this situation that constitutes one of the most highly provocative situations you can imagine. Please withhold judgment until all the facts of what took place that night are known. Now, this was originally reported as a poker game gone bad, but once I read all the things that Cody Latimer did that night, I knew damn well there was a lot more to the story. I had already finished recording this story and was nearly done with the editing process when I decided to make one final sweep to make sure there was no new information on any of these cases before I upload this. And we did get new information on Cody Latimer's motive, so I'm gonna play you the story as I originally did it. Then I'll be back on camera in just a second, giving you the final piece of information. So if you haven't seen it already, be sure to not pass judgment during this story. Just listen to what I'm saying, listen to his behavior, and then I'm gonna come back and tell you what was at the root of it, man. According to WUSA 9's website, which is a CBS affiliate station, they reported that they obtained the police report, and that's where the rest of this information is coming from. Last thing before I jump into this, as I go through this, keep in mind that this report is coming from the point of view of Cody's best friend, okay? That person. The report says, during a poker game at Cody's best friend's apartment, Cody, the best friend, along with everybody else, was drinking and gambling when the inevitable fight broke out. It's just an argument, you know? The argument broke out between Cody and one of the other cats that was there also gambling. Cody's friend, seeing as how it's his apartment, steps in, breaks up the fight, and then shortly after kicks everybody out of the apartment. Like, y'all about to get me kicked out, y'all tripping. Unless Cody was already in an uncontrollable state, I found this just a little bit weird because the dude claims to be Cody's best friend, and if your partner is drunk and pissed off, like, the last thing you want to do is put him on the road, you know what I'm saying? I know anybody I consider my best friend in that situation would allow me to crash at the crib, let me calm down, let me sober up before driving back to my crib the next day. Either that or they'll give me a ride to my crib, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's not really relevant, I just thought that was strange. But maybe this next thing in the story kind of explains it. 30 minutes after being kicked out of the apartment, Cody shows back up, and he's not alone. This time, Cody has a gun, and he pulls up and tells his quote-unquote best friend that he saved 2 bullets, one for his friend and one for his friend's girlfriend. It was originally reported that this was Cody's girlfriend, and I immediately thought I had found the solution to why this whole thing happened, because I was thinking, when he left, why the hell was his girlfriend still at his friend's house? But the articles that reported this later came back and updated it, saying that no, this was Cody's friend's girlfriend. So everything is in place there. The story goes on and says Cody pulls out a gun, waves it around, threatens to kill everybody, then calms down, empties the magazine, says he'd never hurt his friend or his friend's girl. But shortly after that, he got pissed off again and fired 2 shots near his best friend. Didn't hit him, but shot 2 bullets in his direction, enough to enrage any person, but if them bullets come close to you. So at that point, of course, a fight break out between Cody and his boy. Cody's friend hems him up against the wall, then Cody pistol whips him and leaves a gash on his head. This is an extremely weird and extremely scary situation. It's hard to believe that things went this far between Cody Latimer and a cat claiming to be his best friend over a poker game. You know what I'm saying? There's something more to this story, obviously. Adam Scheffner reported that at today's hearing, Cody Latimer's attorney told the court that he was contacted by law enforcement concerning an investigation of a sexual assault of Latimer's 4-year-old son, allegedly perpetrated by an individual that was at the weekend poker game. The allegations concerning the shooting incident occurred about the same time and location of the alleged sexual assault. I ain't gonna lie, man, it's hard to talk about stuff like this. Let me just say this. That's why that's why you can't judge, bro. You can never judge too critically before you have all the information. I said this at the beginning of the video. It's an extremely sad situation that something like that happened, bro. So now that you've heard that, all of his actions, you understand. You know, I'm actually kind of surprised that that didn't go a little bit further. I just can't imagine being in that situation, man. My thoughts and prayers are out to Cody Latimer and his family. You know what I'm saying? Like, this makes me very angry. And I don't want to say something crazy on camera and just post that on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what we're here to do. But I literally just found this out, like, right at the end of this video. So, you know, there it is, man. That was the reasoning behind it. I know a lot of people was probably talking crazy about this man up until this point. And now you see, and I want you to put yourself in that position. If that was you, you know, what would your reaction be? So, look, man, thoughts and prayers go out to Cody Latimer, his son, his family, and everybody that was affected by this. Hopefully they can figure out a way to move past this. Hopefully the cat that did this is prosecuted to the full extent of the law if Cody don't get hold of him first. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna clip back to my original video ending because I probably just ran on about this forever. Each one of these situations could have quickly turned deadly, any of them. So on the bright side, at least they all stopped where they did. For everybody watching this video, don't be so quick to judgment. This could happen. This could happen to you, bro. It could. But let's try to, one, avoid these type of situations. And if you find yourself in a situation that seems to be shaping up like this, let's try to see it a little bit early and get the hell out of there, bro. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. My name is FlemLo Raps. I'm out at you next time, fellas.
Yeah, I'm no quitter, 'cause I'ma go get her.